Hi, and welcome to Carolina Varsity's look at the 2015 South Mecklenburg 8 Conference. I'm Dale Ross.
I'm the pet man, Matt Mark.
And Matt, we'll start this out by looking at the Carolina Varsity North Carolina High School football report projections for the end of the season. This is based on last year's data, so don't expect this to be exceptionally accurate right now. Look for this to change in 3 to 5 weeks, but some of it I can kind of agree with. Charlotte Catholic number 1, Providence number 2. I don't believe that. Andre Kell, South Mecklenburg, then Olympic, Philip O'Berry, West Mecklenburg, and Harding. That's just the reports projections based off of last year's data. For me, I think Catholic is again your clear-cut front runner. I've seen, I think it was it Langston and the Observer that put South Mecklenburg down at 4th, I think, behind Providence. I couldn't believe that.
I tend to think that's a little surprising, honestly.
So for me, they're the dark horse. They played Catholic close last year. Should have won that ball game. I think Catholic's a lot better team this year than they were last year. I think South Mecklenburg's going to be a lot better team. South Mecklenburg stays healthy, I'm not going to be surprised to see them win this conference, quite honestly. Audrey Kell, I think, is a true dark horse because I don't really know what's happening with that program. We're not going to know till Friday night when they play.
Right.
What kind of changes? They've got a great coach in Joe Evans.
Excellent hire.
I think Struck Gold just wish they could have brought in some more coaches. There were some other situations. They had another guy hired for the position, but I think they've got a great coach. He's very enthusiastic. I hear from inside the Audrey Kell program, everybody's buying into what he's doing. Mm-hmm. It's just going to be a matter of what he has to run and how they work it out. But Audrey Kell could surprise us because they got the bigs. I'm picking Providence next because I think they've lost a lot and new coaching situation. It's going to take Providence a little time to pull back together. And to be quite honest with you, the next 3 teams, I got them Philip O'Berry, Olympic, and West Mecklenburg. I think those teams are almost a flip, although I think West might be a little behind. Mm-hmm. And Philip O'Berry and Olympic might be closer to each other. Right now I'm giving the edge to Philip O'Berry. I don't know if any of those teams are going to make the playoffs, but if a team makes a playoff, it's probably going to be the winner of the Philip O'Berry Olympic game.
Okay.
And that's my thoughts. And then of course Harding is new coach, new situation. It's wipe the slate clean again, and this is happening too much. But hopefully Harding can get on the right track and bring that program back to being a competitive program and winning some ball games. As much as they were my rival in high school, I hate seeing them. I hate seeing them down at the bottom of the conference. There was a time when, I loved that, but now, you kind of hate to see any school struggle like Harding's been struggling lately, and the kids have to go through that. So, anyway, that's my thoughts.
Well, you mentioned Catholic. They've got their running back, Mr. Anderson, coming back over there. Mm-hmm. Very talented kid. Walton at quarterback. Expect him to throw the ball even more. Uh-huh. He threw it well. Last season he's very accurate. You would think the quarterback of a primarily a wing T running team would not be as accurate as he is, but he's got a good arm, good accuracy. They're going to have skill positions on offense that can do some things. They like to be multiple in their run game, which makes it very challenging and difficult to defense them. Coach Brodowitz was the returning conference coach of the year. Did a great job in the wake of Jim Otto, retiring. Had a lot of pressure on him. He came through with flying colors. Yeah. So expect them, to really, be as good, if not better, than they were last year. The key is going to be defensively. Traditionally, we always talk about Catholic having trouble stopping the pass. Their front seven, it's always been tough to defend. They got big, strong kids who are fundamental, and they follow their assignments to the T. So, don't expect them to beat themselves. You're going to have to go out and beat that team if you're going to knock them off. And then you mentioned South Meck.
Let me say one thing about Catholic. Just one more player, Alexander Gagnon. that's that big linebacker that they've got. Kid,
Yeah.
almost. I think their defense. He's going to be a major point in that defense. He stays healthy. I expect to see that kid. I think make a bunch of tackles. So anyway, just wanted to throw that in there. Go ahead.
Most definitely. South Mecklenburg, Coach White coming back once again. A lot of those kids that he has been building with are now upperclassmen. So they're very talented. They're strong. They've been in their systems now a couple years. Very very fundamentally sound team as well, similar to Catholic. They're not going to make dumb mistakes. They're not going to beat themselves. The offense is a pro-style offense. We're going to give you multiple looks defensively. He's always a 4-3 kind of guy. Very good defensive front, hard to block. They can get pressured just by rushing 4, which means you got guys that you can stay in coverage with. So they're going to be tough to run and pass on. I think they're a very good team. I think they're somewhat underrated. I think they may sneak up on some people early on, and they're gonna, like you said, I think they'll challenge Catholic, for that top spot.
I'm sorry, I don't know if you're going to move on, but Zach Gilbert on defense, defensive end, very, very good ball player. One of the better defensive ball players, I think, in the area. Maybe even in the state. I know he's
a heck of a defensive end. That's what you need right
now. And Chance Kennedy at wide receiver on the offensive side.
He's a smaller kid. He's very fast, very quick. Expect him to run a lot of screens on offense, get the ball in space. Dangerous on kickoff returns. Just don't if you let him get in space, he'll blow by you and make plays and be on the Friday night highlight shows.
There you go.
And that's why he's on this list right here.
Yeah.
You mentioned Ardrey Kell, returning conference offensive player of the year. Bryce McGinley at quarterback, very good dual threat quarterback, can throw it well, and he can also run the zone read type stuff and get out and run all over the place. They got a big offensive line. They seem like they've had a big offensive line for forever.
Right.
They hadn't been around that long. I know you got a kid on here that's on that offensive line, Taleni Surin, offensive tackle. Very, very good offensive lineman. The key for Ardrey Kell, I think, is not going to be the offense. I know that's going to be there with Coach Evans running that show. Defensively, I think that's where the question is going to be. Who's going to run that defense and how fast is it going to come together? Because I think they can score anybody.
Right. Yeah, they've got Surin plays defense as well, as I remember. I think he's a defensive end, and Aguara is another defensive end that they have. Two very highly rated ball players. Their defense, I think, their defense I expect to be pretty solid, especially up front. You mentioned about the bigs that they've got. Remember Providence before Ardrey Kell was open. Providence always had bigs. They had those big kids, and I think a lot of those big kids, wherever those big kids come from, is leading into Ardrey Kell now, because Ardrey Kell does have a lot of big ball players. It'll be interesting to see how well they do this year. Do they finish where I think they're going to finish, which is around 3rd, or do they sneak up and win the conference?
I think, they can challenge. They were there last year. They challenged both, South Meck and Catholic. So I think it's a 3-team race at the top. You mentioned Providence. You got Coach Brad Bowles coming from South Carolina up to Providence, installing a different offense. I think that'll take some time to get going. They lost some offensive talent to graduation. They do have a couple guys on defense coming back. I think that's going to help them in the early, season. Once they, give them some time to get that offense going, the defense is going to have to carry them, maybe some low-scoring games. But this coach was successful, down in South Carolina. He's got a good track record. Providence is going to support them. They have the facilities, and they're going to have numbers. So, we'll see what happens.
Exactly. Plane after plane after plane. We apologize. That's the negative for doing it in where we do this.
Barry has Coach Howard, who's actually the longest tenured coach in the conference now.
Yeah.
When you look at it, we've got a good quarterback returning, Keontae Cotton. Very, accurate, sits in the pocket well, throws it well. Barry's key is going to be defense. They have some offensive skill talent in the lines. Like Barry, I think West Meck is similar to that. We know West Meck always has talent and speed, but do they have enough linemen to get it done to make that big difference? Coach Caldwell returns once again. See if they can get that magic back they had from a couple years ago when they made that run in the playoffs. You got Olympic Coach Wilkes once again. You know he's going to run that modified version of his wing tee on offense. They'll have some skilled guys as well. Defensively, do they have enough to slow teams down to challenge and maybe push up into that top half? And then Harding, of course, I'm familiar with that. New head coach Sam Griner, I think he'll do an excellent job. He's a defensive mind, former defensive coordinator at Vance. He had the defense where you got guys coming from all kinds of places. It's somewhat of a 3-4, but he'll mix it up. They're going to be young. There's some talent there. Eugene Alexander's a kid to watch. He was all conference. I played him at quarterback, but I think he's a great running back. If they put him at quarterback, he can throw it a little bit, kind of run it too, kind of a dual threat guy. So those guys will be better. I think they'll be better. They have more coaches on campus. That's going to help them out. And they have some new uniforms that look really nice.
Oh, okay. Well, good.
so expect Harding to be better than they were last.
Okay, well that's the South Meck 8 conference. Looks like I think we both feel we're going to have a 3-team race, and how much separation can Catholic build any separation will be the question. Of course, that's when they hit conference play at the 4th and 5th week of the season. Prior to that, everybody's got to get warmed up. So it's going to be really interesting to see how all these teams, play. Catholic's got a big game with Christian this week. And let's see here. I think Andre Kell opens up with Weddington.
Oh, yeah, that's going to be a good one.
That could be a very good ball game. Yeah, Weddington always a big defensive test, and then
I'll tell you, it's going to be interesting. Barry and East Meck. I think it's going to be a real interesting game to see where Barry is. I really do.
Well, I think it may tell us. We're going to talk about East Meck here in a moment, but I'm expecting East Meck to be significantly improved over last season. That's not meaning that they're a Southwestern 4A top challenger, but I think that'll be a big test for both teams actually.
Yeah.
To see where at least give us a little idea of where both teams are. That is a big game for them.
Yeah, most definitely.
Okay, well that's it. I think everybody plays Friday night. There are no Saturday games for any of these teams, and no Thursday games for any of these teams. So everybody enjoy the start of your season. Thanks.
Good luck, guys.
I love it, Holden. Make the play, Holden.